Hello, everyone, and welcome to Molehill Mountain, episode 328. Now, of all the topics on my list to discuss tonight, the one I have the most to say about is probably the Super Mario Brothers movie, which I have now seen. Not seeing it didn't stop me from having opinions on it, but now my opinions are informed. But I'm going to leave that to the end of the podcast, just in case, because the movie's only been out a week. I wouldn't say there's much to spoil, but if you haven't seen it yet, you can bow out and come back to it. Cafe Fox, Matthew, Lee, hello everyone. Battle Network Collection. I hear they didn't, they made no adjustments to the script of the Battle Network Collection, so, all of the classic typos are still there. Part of the charm of those games, I suppose. But before we get to Super Mario movie, I want to talk a little bit about The Mandalorian, which I think this week's episode was the penultimate episode. I think this coming Tuesday night, Wednesday, whatever it is going to be the season finale. I'm not sure about that, but I think that's the case. Oh, you haven't heard, Lee? They made another Super Mario Brothers movie. It's doing pretty well for itself, box office wise. But we'll talk about that later. I want to talk about The Mandalorian. Now, Star Wars TV has been a little hit and miss with me over the last couple of years. The first season of Mandalorian I thought was quite entertaining. I liked it. Second season, for me, got a bit bogged down in, oh, look, all the stuff you know and love from the cartoon. Not terrible, and maybe I would have enjoyed it more had I actually watched the cartoons, but still an enjoyable season. Book of Boba Fett, I thought was bad. I still, for the most part, enjoyed watching it, but I just felt it was poorly, particularly from a narrative standpoint, it just wasn't very well written. Still fun. There's lasers and speeder bike chases, although it does have one of the slowest chase scenes, vehicular chase scenes ever committed to film. It's the weirdest damn thing. And it takes a break halfway through the season to just do a small season of The Mandalorian. Because looking at season 3 now is like, because season 2 ends, Baby Yoda goes off to train as a Jedi, and so it's like, okay, so Baby Yoda is going to be off doing things, and season 3 is going to be Din Djarin with new friends, or maybe by his lonesome. And then they were like, no, Baby Yoda got to be in the show. So they took 2 episodes out of Book of Boba Fett to say, no, he took his kid out of daycare. So season 3 starts exactly, we're just resetting the status quo. Season 3 I don't think is very good. I thought the first 4 episodes were pretty bad. But episodes 5, 6, and I think 7 have been pretty decent. Have been at least fun. Still not the strongest writing, I don't think, but, entertaining enough. Oh, and Obi-Wan was like it had a good idea, but the execution wasn't always there, so it was very hit or miss show. Like, there were a lot of elements I thought were very, very strong, and an equal number that were very, very weak. Star Wars Visions, the anime one, I didn't much care for. Visually interesting, but the stories didn't do much for me. Still looking forward to Visions 2. Maybe it'll be good. Who knows? But I found Corpse Pilot. Corpse Pilot is a reference to something in the 7th episode of Mandalorian season 3. Is Corpse Pilot like its own thing? I know there's a anime and game series called Corpse Party, but I don't know if Corpse Pilot is a thing. Let's see. Doop doop doo. There's a corpse husband. No, I don't know. Oh, Corpse Pilot, Man of Medan. Okay, apparently that's I guess a character from one of the Dark Pictures anthology games. How about that? Okay, not what I'm referencing, though. Seasons might lead into a Bo-Katan spin-off. Fox in Space. Have not seen that. But we learned a few things in this latest episode of The Mandalorian that I thought were pretty funny. Number one, the bad guys, like Moff Gideon and other assorted ne'er-do-wells, they are not going to have one of those "are we the baddies" moments. They know they're the baddies. So Moff Gideon is, I guess, the head of the Shadow Council. And we know that the baddies know that they're the baddies, because I didn't call them the Shadow Council. They're a council that meets in the shadows, but they call themselves the Shadow Council. They know they're the bad guys. I thought that was pretty funny. I'm like, oh my god, you guys call yourselves the Shadow Council? Okay. They are out and proud about being the bad guys. That amuses me to no end. Lee says, off topic, but if someone blocks me or mutes me, does that mean I can't see them? Because I got in chats where I can't see people and I don't do anything to them. I don't know how that works on YouTube. I mean, I can block, and that means I don't think that... I think that means you just can't comment. I don't think it means you can't see anything. And I don't know if there's a mute option. I think it's just block or nothing. Let me see. Remove, hide user. Yeah. Anyway, so in episode 3 or 4, the Mandalorians were living on a planet on the shore of a body of water that hosts some very big, mean, hungry monsters that, keeps eating their children. And everyone watching the show is like, is there no better place that you guys could move to? Because this seems like a really bad location. Because in the first episode, there's a giant crocodile dinosaur monster. And then in, the 3rd episode, there's a giant bird dinosaur monster that snatches a kid and runs off. So, Bo-Katan and Din Djarin, they help get the kid back, and they kill the big dinosaur bird monster. Dinosaur bird's a little redundant, but anyway, before it can feed the kidnapped Mandalorian child to its 3 baby chicks, which are, the size of elephants. Or banthas, I suppose, to be Star Warsy. And at the end of the episode, you're thinking, oh man, they just killed Dinosaur Mama, and I guess the baby chicks are gonna die. No, apparently they wrangled up the baby chicks and stuffed them onto Bo-Katan's ship, and she flew them back to base. And we're thinking, oh, well, we've only seen, so far as we know, human Mandalorians, but maybe they're gonna, well, other than Baby Yoda, maybe they're gonna make Mandalorians out of the baby birds. No, I think they ate them. In this latest episode of Mandalorian, they go to Mandalore and meet some more Mandalorians, and they're sitting around a campfire, and they're spit roasting some giant piece of meat. I'm thinking that was one of the baby birds. So, no, they were not altruistic. They were not going to, oh, we killed your mama, we must take responsibility and raise you orphaned bird babies. No. Nope. They're like, you are food. Feed our you thought you were going to eat our children, but now our children are going to eat you. I mean, the show doesn't explicitly say that, but that's what I'm inferring. Let's see. Chicago says, Mandalorians basically refugees. They end up on hostile planets where most people don't want to live, so they cannot be found by the Empire. Still, but yeah, I mean, right on the shore of dinosaur-infested waters, maybe that was the best location. But I mean, seems like they could have done better. So we know they eat orphaned baby birds. We also always knew, but boy, was it drilled home in this episode, that the Mandalorians can communicate primarily and almost exclusively in respectful nods. You know, someone does something cool, and they look up at their, Mandalorian comrade, and the comrade goes, and they go, and someone else goes, and someone else is like, just these silent, pensive, respectful nods to everyone. There's got to be like 47 of them in this episode alone, with Din and Bo-Katan and the Armorer and Jon Favreau, Mandalorian, whatever his name is. Just, they're all nodding at each other. I'm like, I don't know if that's just a thing they're trying to communicate, or if they honestly couldn't think of any dialogue. Just nod. I don't know. We'll dub something in later, and they never got around to actually dubbing it. Who knows? The orphaned baby bird roast was their Thanksgiving. Yeah. The Mandalorians are like the Danes, says Jared, in terms of their culture. Well, I know nothing about Danish culture, so I'll have to take your word for it. Now, here's another thing. Sail barges, basically like a land skiff. So it's a sailboat that goes across the land. Big boat, sits on wheels, has a sail, zips across the plains. You can't steer them, and you can't slow them down. So, if you're looking like half a mile down the road and Godzilla is in front of you, you're just going to have to ram him. There's no other options. As I said, can't turn, can't brake. There's a monster way over there. Gonna have to ram it. Or at least hope it gets out of the way. That's what episode 7 tells me. Because they're like, iceberg straight ahead. It's like, what, that giant Godzilla monster half a mile down the hole? Turn! Brake? No, just ram it? Okay. I guess those crafts only go where the wind takes you. When are we leaving? Whenever the wind blows. I don't know. We can't control this thing. Vikings. Yes. There we are. And lastly, getting to the title of this podcast, Corpse Pilot. So in the first episode or two, Din Djarin said, I need IG-11. I think Taika Waititi voiced the bot from the first season of Mandalorian. I hate all droids, but that one was okay. So we need to we need to revive him. Like, didn't he blow up? He's like, oh, you know that statue that we built of him in the courtyard? Yeah, we built it out of his corpse. I'm sorry, you what? Oh, that statue out there? That's not a statue. That's not sculpted. That's the remains of his corpse. Okay, well, let's tear that sucker down and revive him. Oh, that doesn't work. Okay, I'll get an astromech droid. For surveying a planet? You sure you don't have any, like, portable scanners or something that you could use instead of a astromech droid, which is really not built for spelunking? Okay. But anyway, Din seemed to not really kind of lose interest in IG-11. But in episode 7, the little Baba Frick dude said, well, we couldn't get IG-11 up and running, so we hollowed out his chest cavity and turned him into a mech for Baby Yoda. So now, Baby Yoda is piloting the corpse of IG-11, and no one seems to think that's odd or ethically dubious or just kind of gross. In fact, they're like, no, this isn't IG-11, now it's IG-12, because it's brand new, you see? It's like, is that how the numbering system works? Because there is an IG-88, so do they just pick numbers at random, or are they just numbered off the assembly line? Because if that's the case, then there's probably already a 12 somewhere, but whatever. It's cute to see Baby Yoda walking around in a mech, but it's something that could potentially be interesting, but the Star Wars shows are broadly not interested in exploring it at all, and that is the sapience of droids. Like, depending on which Star Wars shows you're watching, droids are either just robots or they are people with thoughts and feelings and personalities, and it's kind of weird to hollow out the corpse of somebody and use it as a car. That's weird, but nobody really seems to think twice about desecrating the bodies of droids, either making statues out of them. I mean, we make statues of human people all the time, but so far as I'm aware, we haven't made any statues out of the corpse of the people we're making statues of. I don't think we do that. It's usually like plaster or marble or bronze or something. Or wood. I don't know. Very rarely do we actually, it's like, this person, shame they died. They were such a wonderful person. We should honor them with a statue. And we'll just we'll just bronze their corpse and set that up in the front yard. But anyway, apparently desecrating the corpse of droid, no big thing. No one really cares. No one raises an eyebrow. No one bats an eye. No one's like, oh, that ain't right. You're, ew, just, dude, Baby Yoda, you knew that guy. You knew that guy. You hollowed out his chest cavity and you're driving his corpse around. That's gross, isn't it? I mean, isn't that gross? IG-11M, mech version. There you go, Cafe Fox. It's still adorable. It's still fun, but it is kind of weird. Also, I'm still trying to figure out what their concept of Baby Yoda is, because he understands English, well, common, or basic, I forget what it's called. He understands language. He just doesn't speak, and I'm not sure if it's supposed to be, he's disabled in some particular manner that prevents him from speaking, because he seemed to be pretty happy with his little yes and no buttons. He seems to understand speech just fine. He just doesn't speak. Doesn't appear to be deaf, but just doesn't appear to speak. And I'm not sure if it's a disability of some sort, or if they're just like, nah, he's cuter when he's quiet. Dunno. Jared says, I don't think it's gross. Is it intergalactic basic? Yeah, I can't remember. I'm like, is it basic or is it common, or am I confusing that with another sci-fi franchise? I mean, if the show tells you it's not gross, then you're like, well, okay, I guess this is just no one gives a damn, or few give a damn. I guess they'd. Do I mean Krang? Oh, I missed what Chicago said earlier. It said Kang, but yeah, Krang from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yeah, kind of, except the housing that Krang is in is not the corpse of a deceased organism. So far as I'm aware, I mean, there are a lot of versions of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's just an android. It's or a robot. It's not supposed to have any sentience. It's, so far as I know, some rudimentary artificial intelligence, I suppose, but it's essentially just a full body prosthetic, is the way I read it. But the way that droids are presented in Star Wars often are as people, sentient people, who have their own wants and desires and bars. And I appreciate the last episode where Bo-Katan and Din go into a droid bar, because I could feel that the creators were like, oh man, I really want to go. No, we don't serve your kind here. The humans, you gotta wait outside. Call back to the original Star Wars movie when they tell the droids that they can't be in the canteen because they don't serve their kind here. But these droids have their own thoughts, feelings, jobs, worries, culture. They look out for each other. They get annoyed when other droids make life difficult for other droids. It's like, yeah, we just used the corpse of one as a statue, and then we tore it down and they couldn't get it fixed, so we used it as basically a baby jumper. And it's like, oh, well, I guess droid corpse desecration just isn't a thing in this universe. Or maybe there are some, or maybe Mandalorians don't care, but, and Grief Karga genuinely doesn't seem to care, but maybe you could come across someone in the Star Wars galaxy who'd be like, oh, dude, that ain't right. Oh, that's gross. No, dude, no. Jared says it's just so metal. Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's fun, but it is kind of weird. I mean, if you think about it that way, which maybe I'm not supposed to, but that's immediately what I thought. I went, oh, whoa, they're piloting the corpse of a former comrade. That's weird. But we'll see. Does Lucas have a say-so? Not officially. He sold the property, the IP, to Disney. So, oh, hey, Katie, how you doing? So I mean, they may take his thoughts under advisement, but he doesn't own it anymore. He sold it to Disney. So, but yeah, anyway, everything, me goofing on the corpse piloting thing doesn't mean the show is bad. The show's, so far, season 3 is much better in its back half than it was the first 4 episodes, because, rough. I don't know what the issue is. I don't know if it's just conflict between some creatives wanting to tell this story, but higher ups mandating no, you have to have your Baby Yoda and they have to go on adventures. So I don't know if the creatives are kind of like being painted in a corner that they're just not handling very well, or if, pardon me, the writing is, or the production was rushed. The writing broadly has just not been very strong, both in plotting, story, dialogue. There's some cool stuff, though. I'm still enjoying watching the show, but it's narratively a bit weak. But we'll see how it wraps up this coming week. So, we got a new trailer for The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, and I'm kind of embarrassed to admit that until I watched this trailer, I didn't realize that the Tears of the Kingdom were going to be literal MacGuffins. Because if you notice in the the trailer, all the characters, each one has like a teardrop jewel kind of thing. either embedded in their head or worn on the back of their hand or as an earring or belt or something. I'm like, oh, the Tears of the Kingdom are literal colored magical doohickeys that we're probably going to have to collect, right? Oh, sure. I mean, because the last game, Breath of the Wild, there wasn't literally Wild's breath in the game. It was just a fancy name for the game. Oh, the Breath of the Wild. I feel the Tears of the Kingdom. Tears, a kingdom with tears. Oh, it's so sad. No, literal colored jewels. Okay, sure. Looks like it could be fun though. I like the they really should have called it The Legend of Zelda Nuts and Bolts. They definitely should not have done that, but I would have tearing nipple ring. I'm being ow. I don't like body piercings wherever you may want to pierce. Just the idea of jamming a piece of steel through the flesh of any part of you gives me the willies. Just like, oh, you know what I want to do for decoration? What's that? I want to take this thin piece of metal and I want to jam it through my ear. Why the hell would you want to do that? 'Cause it's pretty. I mean, is it worth it? I think so. It's so pretty. Now I'm going to jam something through my nose and my eyebrow and my lip and my scrotum. It's like, no one's going to see that. Yes, but I'll know. Body piercings. Squicks me out, man. And this is from a dude who watches horror movies. I love me my gross, gory horror movies, but I see someone with piercings, even ear piercings. I'm like, ow. It's like it didn't hurt that much. It's like, yeah, but again, you jammed a piece of metal through your flesh. Why would you do that? Ow. Just ow. Jared says, you will be playing, though. Tears of the Kingdom? Oh, yeah. I'll be playing. So, now back to Tears of the Wild. Not Tears of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. There's some interesting things going on. I'm kind of one thing I like doing in video games is making the world a better place for other people. And part of that is like rebuilding towns and stuff. I've always liked Colony 8, 9, 13, whatever it was in Xenoblade Chronicles. There's a town that gets ruined in Tales of Symphonia, I think, that you have to rebuild. Okami, where you wander around bringing life back to the trees and stuff like that. I love doing that. That's fun, and I'm kind of hoping there will be stuff like that in Tears of the Kingdom where you help the denizens of Hyrule rebuild with your magic glue powers. There's a bit that shows you dragging a bunch of people in a wagon that's held together by your magic green snot. You create a mech out of, by gluing together slabs of stone with your magic green snot. So it looks like maybe you'll get to put some homes together with the magic green snot. I'm looking forward to it. I have high hopes for Tears of the Kingdom, even though if you've seen my Bad Breath of the Wild video series, I was a little softer on Breath of the Wild than many. Really, I'm most interested to see is Hyrule different enough to make it an interesting to make it interesting to re-explore, or is it just going to feel like the same Hyrule? It's like, I mean, it's cool because one of the best open world video game environments ever, in my opinion. But if it's like the same, then it's the same. Is there going to be enough changes to it to make it interesting to revisit? Or will there be enough new stuff with the floating islands and maybe caverns, big chunks of land got ripped into the sky, might leave a big hole in the ground, might reveal a cavern or something to explore. So Even if Hyrule is mostly the same, maybe there's enough new stuff to to make it interesting. And I play the Yakuza or now Like a Dragon games, and it's like, well, it's in Kamurocho every game. True, but Kamurocho does evolve a bit game to game, and they also usually add one new town, like Osaka or Yokohama or somewhere. Um, and hell, Like a Dragon Ishin takes place in obviously a town that we haven't seen in these games before, so we'll see. We'll see. Really, my biggest problems with Breath of the Wild were all small mechanical things, like Link's land speed. He just runs too slow. Just a smidge. I described it in my video as being stuck in traffic behind someone driving 38 miles an hour in a 40. It's like, they're not going that slow. They're only going 2 miles under, but oh my god, go faster! It rained too much, which means you'll climb up the side of a cliff, and then it starts raining, which means you have to stop playing the game, because you can't climb slippery, wet rock. So when it starts raining, which it inevitably will, you have to stop playing the game for a couple minutes until it stops raining, or just, hang glide off the mountain and go somewhere else. That sucked. I wasn't a fan of the candy glass weapons that kept breaking after... Like, weapons did not last through one fight. Like, you'd roll up on a pack group, murder, who knows, of bokoblins, and you could be pretty guaranteed to destroy at least 2 of the weapons in your inventory. They are extraordinarily fragile, and I think I get what they were going for. They're like, you shouldn't get too attached to a weapon, you should, be free to try new things, and it's like, okay, but now I just never use my fire sword. Because I'm not going to use it. I'm not going to hit a bokoblin upside the head. I'll use a tree branch, thank you very much. I need that damn fire sword if I ever go hiking around Mount Lanayru, or if I'm ever accosted by a yeti or something, I don't think it worked in the way that they wanted it to work. And I'm very curious to see how Tears of the Kingdom's fusion system works, if that alleviates or exacerbates the issue. I'm very curious to see how that shakes out. What else? I would love it if I whistled for my horse, if my horse just showed up. Like it does in other games, like, Ocarina of Time or Twilight Princess. I think this is a line from my Bad Breath of the Wild videos. You whistle for your horse, and Epona shows up like she's been stalking you from the tree line. Is that realistic? No. Do I care? Nope. It's convenient. Really, the biggest I don't mind making it a bit more realistic. I think that's fine. Horses can't climb mountains. Makes sense. If the horse physically can't get to you, cool, makes sense. But you start here, you get off your horse, you walk over here, right? And you whistle for your horse, and you want your horse to come to you. Here's the thing. All right, horse is here, you are here. If you whistle for your horse can hear you and comes to you. However, you take one step back and whistle, your horse can't hear you. Fine. You're out of range. Now you would think if you take one step forward, now your horse, you're back in range and your horse can hear you. That's not how it works in Breath of the Wild. This is the horse hearing range. If you step out of the range, you have to come back to about here before your horse can hear you again. Don't know why. Very weird. But I am excited. I do generally really like the Zelda games, and definitely looking forward to Tears of the Kingdom. Tears of the... Yeah, that's what it's called. Let's see. Am I going to make an exception to your not buying any game prices more than 50 for Tears of the Kingdom? No, I will not make an exception to that. Stay tuned. Cafe Fox says, in Resident Evil 4 Remake, Leon walks at a snail's pace. Oh, does he? Just a tad bit faster. I've not played the... I played the demo, which actually got up... The chainsaw demo, which actually got updated for some reason. I don't know what they updated. I didn't have a problem with his land speed, so probably won't bother me. But yeah, it's frustrating when your character moves a little bit slower than you want them to. There's DLC item that does that for your horse. Just warp your horse to you. Yeah, generally I like the idea of get off your horse, and as long as you remain in range and your horse can physically get to you, you're not like standing on top of a mountain or on the other side of a ravine or something like that, your horse will pathfind its way over to you. That's fine. I like that. Don't have a problem with that. But the whistle range is too short. And also that thing where if you walk out of range, you have to go like nearly all the way back before your horse can hear you again. Weird. Don't know why it works that way. Lee says, well, I guess you won't buy any because most are $50 or more. Well, not necessarily. Games, not Nintendo's games a lot of times, but games, the Sheikah saddle, okay. But video games often drop in price. Like I just bought Like a Dragon Ishin, which I've been looking forward to for years. And just came out in March for $60, right? Last week, it dropped to... or a week before last, 2 weeks ago, it dropped to $40. It's only been, and it had only been out for a little over 5 weeks. So, it's true that I, with some exceptions, like if I'm buying someone a gift or if I'm getting it specifically for like the Extra Life charity event, other than those exceptions, I won't pay more than $50 for a game. But it's usually not a problem because games usually drop in price fairly quickly. So, Like a Dragon dropped in price. Resident Evil 4 will probably drop in price in the next couple of months. So, we'll see. Spring sale? Yeah, we'll see. Nintendo is usually pretty loath to drop prices, though. Although I did just look, and a couple of the games that I want to pick, like, what was I just looking at? I think it was... it's not a Nintendo-published game, I don't think. The Bayonetta Origins. I don't think that's Nintendo-published. Don't know. But that just dropped to $50. That came out a few weeks ago. I think it came out in March. That's now $50. Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity's now $50. So... yeah, they do occasionally drop. So, come to think of it, let's see how much Breath of the Wild costs. Breath of the Wild. It is, well, that's the European version. Oh, it's $80. Oh no, that's with the expansion bundle thing. Well, who the hell knows, because it's not available on Amazon right now. Oh well. That's why I do physical with Nintendo. Yeah. I mean, worst comes to worst, I buy it used. I'd prefer not to do that, but, you know, I have done that in the past. It's like, I mean, if you just refuse to drop the price to something I'm willing to pay, I'm going to buy it from someone who does drop the price to something I'm willing to pay. So, all right. Let's see what's next. So, another new trailer hit this week for The Marvels, which is a new superhero Marvel movie. This one starring Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, and Monica Rambeau. I don't know which name they're going for. I don't know which name she's using in this, because she's had a few. I think she's had Photon and Spectre or something. I don't remember. Not a character I've really followed through the comics. But so we got a look at the trailer this week, and Goose the Flurkin is back, which is a cat-looking alien, and so this is going to be an excellent movie because it has a cat in it. I mean, it's not technically a cat, but the Flurkin is played by a real cat, so there's a cat in it, which automatically makes it a must-see movie. And even if it's bad, even if it's really, really bad and dumb, it still has a cat in it. Unless Goose is cut from the entire film, which would make me very... Man, how much... That would suck if, I went to see the Marvels and Goose was just left on the cutting room floor. No matter how good the movie was, I would feel gypped. But apparently there's a stampede of cats, or possibly stampede of Flurkins, so there may be more than just Goose the cat in the movie. So it's already starting off on the right foot. And a part of that right foot that it started out on was it starts with for some reason it's called Saber instead of Sword, which is weird, but whatever. Because you have Shield and then you have the more spacey organization Sword, but in this movie it seems to be called Saber, which is also a type of sword. So maybe it's a better acronym, or maybe I'm missing something from the more recent run of comics. I don't know. But over in outer space somewhere is a big glowy wall. And Nick Fury and Saber are like, "What's with that big glowy wall? That does not give me the warm and fuzzies. We're going to need to investigate the big glowy wall." Luckily, we have an expert in big glowy walls. Monica Rambeau, go over there and poke the big glowy wall. She's like, "Why me?" It's like, "Because you're our expert. You like poking big glowy walls. You remember WandaVision? How you just walked up to the big glowy wall and you poked it? Multiple times? Yeah, here's another one for you, Monica. Go poke the big glowy wall." That's her thing. That's what they employ her for. It's great. So the gimmick of this film is Monica, Carol Danvers, and Kamala Khan, their powers are for some reason linked. So every time they use a power, their bodies switch places. So if Carol's, beating the snot out of aliens somewhere, and she uses her photon blast, Monica or Miss Marvel will swap places, and she'll be like, "Oh shit, where the hell am I? Why are these dudes trying to kill me?" So they keep, every time they use their powers, they keep swapping places. That's a fun premise. That could be a lot of fun. So, you can't tell from a trailer, but looks fun. And I really liked the Miss Marvel show. And from the Miss Marvel show, I really liked Kamala's family. And they're in this, at least briefly, so that's good too. So that comes out in, I don't know, I don't think it's coming out till fall, like November or something like that. But yeah, looking forward to it. Also looking forward to Ant-Man 3, which I think hits Disney Plus this week, if I'm not mistaken. So, looking forward to that. I do like me my superhero movies, even though I think it's been a year since I did the superhero movies I didn't get around to seeing video series. A year ago, I was doing this series where I was catching up on the superhero movies that I never got around to seeing. And I did about 10 episodes of that, and everything I watched was bad. Because the movies I hadn't got around to seeing were Fantastic Four and Catwoman and Constantine and Elektra and the other Fantastic Four and Superman Returns. And I was right to skip them. And I was like, I don't want to watch bad movies. The next one on the list was Ghost Rider, and it's been a year and I just haven't got around to watching anymore. Also on that list is Green Lantern. I think Jonah Hex is on there. If it's not, it should be, because I didn't see that. Um, some of the more modern ones, Joker, Wonder Woman 1984, the David Ayer Suicide Squad, Batman v Superman, Justice League, either version. So there's a bunch of modern ones I haven't seen yet, that I'd really like to get to, but I've got like 15 more, and my luck with this series has been very, very bad. I mean, some of them have been interesting to talk about, but all the movies have been bad in one way or another, and that's just upsetting to me. I mean, I got to a point in that series. It's like I would really like a movie that's at least just okay, you know. I'd settle for okay, but nope. All right, maybe I'll get back to that series at some point. Okay, let's talk about the Super Mario Brothers movie, which I saw. So, if you haven't seen it yet and you don't want anything spoiled, well, thanks for dropping by. Catch you later. So, where do I come down on the Super Mario Brothers movie? Well, notoriously, critics seem to be fairly split on whether they lean positive or lean negative. It's mostly positive, but it's fairly even splits. Like, 57%, I think it was, are leaning positive, and the other 43 are leaning negative. Those who leaned negative, their criticisms broadly seemed to boil down to it's narratively slight, thematically empty, and the characters are fairly one note. Those who leaned positive are like, it's a very colorful, gorgeously animated, fun to watch, thoroughly entertaining, and genuinely funny romp with my favorite video game characters. So I've seen the movie. Where do I land? I agree with both. I found the movie, its story is not much more. If I described the story to you, you might say to me, that's not a story, that's a premise. That's the premise of the movie. It's like, no, that's the entire story. Is there anything thematically interesting going on? No. Could you pull some themes out of it? Sure. Does the movie have anything particularly meaningful to say about any of it? Not really. Are the characters fairly one note? Yeah. Do they have arcs? Not really, no. So those who lean negative, I agree. The movie is lacking in those areas, but I also agree with those who lean positive that the movie is a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. It's 90 minutes, and I was thoroughly entertained the entire time. The jokes mostly landed for me. Some landed very hard. I thought it was a very funny movie. It looks great. I mean, even at the drive-in. I saw it at the drive-in, a double feature with 65, that Adam Driver movie with dinosaurs in it, allegedly. And I say allegedly because it's a very dark film. So watching it at the drive-in, I couldn't see a damn thing. I hear there are dinosaurs, but I couldn't see any. Wish I could. I bet they're very cool, but... yeah, Mario's so bright and colorful, I had no problem seeing what was going on in that film. So, yeah, how you react to the movie really comes down to what you want out of a movie. If you insist on thematically meaty story, you're not going to get that here. And insisting on that doesn't mean you're wrong or you don't know how to enjoy movies. It just means this isn't going to satisfy you. It's like enjoying certain types of food. If you don't like sweet stuff, ice cream probably ain't gonna do it for you. That doesn't mean you're bad at food. It just means you have different taste. But yeah, I quite enjoyed the movie. Sounds like a Mario game, says Cafe Fox. Yes, the movie actually kind of feels like a speed run. It doesn't really take a moment to breathe. It's just like, go, 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 90 minutes, credits, boom, we're done. Yeah! We raised $1 million for the Get Cancer... No, not Get Cancer. Jesus, Andrew. Don't Get Cancer Foundation. Doctors Without Borders or something. Whoever the Games Done Quick raises money for. Get Cancer. Jesus. As much as I enjoyed the film, do I think the movie would have been better with a better story and interesting themes and more characters with more depth? Yes. Yeah, I think it would have been a better movie with that stuff in it. They'll probably make another one. So, let's talk about vocal performances. There was one performance in the film that I didn't care for, not because the actor is bad, but because I just honestly did not feel that their voice fit the role. Fred Armisen as Cranky Kong. No disrespect to the actor, nothing wrong with his delivery. I think tonally he was hitting the right notes. I get what he was going for, but I'm like, that's just not Cranky Kong's voice. And it's funny because the two performances I was most curious about was Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong and Chris Pratt as Mario. Now Seth Rogen is just Seth Rogen. He's got one voice. His. But as a goofy, young frat dude who's just insecure and wants to make his daddy proud, the performance worked. I did not... It's definitely Seth Rogen's voice, but it worked for how they were portraying Donkey Kong as a character in this film. So that I didn't have a problem with. Chris Pratt's voice as Mario... also just fine. Memorable? No. But performance-wise, I mean, for what he had to do, it's fine. Perfectly fine. I think if Nintendo had just shown off the opening sequence of the movie and then revealed the voice cast, it would have been fine. Most people would not have recognized Chris Pratt's voice. They would have said, oh, that's what Mario sounds like. Okay. Oh, it's Chris Pratt? Huh. Well, sure, fine. I think Nintendo probably made a mistake, announcing the cast first. And they seem to get scared about it because Mario has very, 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 very few lines in any of the marketing. He talks all throughout the film, but he has very few lines in any of the marketing, like they were embarrassed of the performance, and they really needn't be. It's fine. It's perfectly fine. It's fine. What does come across as odd is both Charlie Day and Chris Pratt are doing kind of a Jersey, New York, Jersey Italian accent, or New York, Jersey, Brooklyn Italian accent, just kind of a mix that's kind of there, which is fine, but their entire family I have no idea how accurate the accents are, but the Mario Brothers' family have much more distinct accents than they do, and they live with them, which is weird to me. I was just like, why do Mario and Luigi have comparatively much lighter accents than their family whom they live with. Weird. Oh, and Charles Martinet plays Mario's father. And does he sound like this? Woohoo! No, he doesn't. Because Charles Martinet is a working actor and knows how to do his goddamn job. Charles Martinet could have easily been Mario. I don't know why he wasn't. Just hire him to do the voice that he's been doing for 3 decades. I mean, no, not hire him to do a movie voice for Mario. The character, voice the same character he's been doing for decades. But yeah, Charles Martinet should have been the voice of Mario. And this is abundantly clear by listening to the performance of him as his father. It's not a goofy, cartoony voice. It's perfectly natural. Because he's an actor and he can do his job well. Missed opportunity. Oh, I mean, Ken Kirzinger was fine as Jason in Freddy vs. Jason, but it should have been Kane Hodder. Nothing wrong with Ken Kirzinger. He's a perfectly lovely man, and he played the role of Jason Voorhees with aplomb. But it should have been Kane Hodder. There is no reason other than I think Ken Kirzinger is a Canadian, and they wanted to hire Canadians because of tax reasons. That was the reason. But it should have been Kane Hodder. Same thing with the Super Mario Brothers movie. Should have been Charles Martinet. Would it have been better? Not necessarily. It probably would have been exactly the same, just with a slightly different vocal performance. Jack Black. Lee says Jack Black wasn't too bad. No, Jack Black was great. That was a wonderful performance. I love Jack Black in it. Cafe Fox. I wasn't expecting anything deep, nor I. Wanted a super colorful Mario-themed movie with a whole bunch of callbacks, and then that's exactly what it was. That is, indeed. Yep. And if that makes you happy, and it makes me happy, that's what you get. It's a fun movie. And again, if you really need complex characters and meaty themes and in-depth story to enjoy a movie, nothing wrong with that at all. This isn't that movie. It's probably going to leave you a little bit cold. And that's okay. Cafe Fox agrees that Cranky was off. Yeah, nothing wrong with the performance itself, just the wrong voice. I'm just listening to him, I'm like, that's just... nope, not Cranky's voice. Mm-mm. Which was weird, I wasn't expecting that. Cafe says, I didn't think the family had that much of an accent. Compared to Mario and Luigi, they do. They have much more distinct accents than Mario and Luigi. And that just struck me as kind of odd. Funniest character in the movie is, I forget the name, Francis maybe? The dog. They get their first plumbing job. The dog of their first customers. That dog is hilarious. Because Luigi steps on the dog's bone or something and breaks it out, and the dog looks at the broken bone and then looks up at Luigi, and this dog has the most "you motherfucker" face I have seen on an animated character. Is hilarious. Oh my god, that was funny. This dog is shooting daggers at Luigi, so like, I'm gonna kill you. Also, really interesting, PG movie. A lot of the characters, there are a lot of lines, like maybe 6 to 8 lines in the movie where characters say something like, "We're going to die," or "I'm going to kill you," or something like that. A lot of times in cartoons aimed at children, they won't actually say the words "die" or "dead." We'll defeat them, Cobra will be like, "We're going to defeat G.I. Joe," or they rarely will ever say, "We're going to kill those no good Thundercats." Or, but in the Mario movie, yeah, You're dead, now you die, I'm going to kill you, we're all going to die. Couple of lines like that, it's like, huh. Nifty. Let's see. Main complaint was the lack of Luigi in the Shadow World. Yeah, it's a shame. Luigi gets separated from Mario and gets locked in a cage for most of the movie, and that's a shame because the relationship between him and Mario is damn charming, and would have liked to see more. But that's not what this movie was. Oh, and now I'll leave that one alone. That one's too much fun to spoil, if you notice it. It's kind of an Easter egg towards the front of the movie where Luigi and Mario are running off to work. There's something special about the location they're running through. And I didn't notice what was special. It took me a moment to realize, because I was like, this scene is going on longer than it should. Why? I'm like, oh, I see what we're doing. Okay, I get it now. This movie did a whole lot better than the live-action Mario movie, which is interesting because broadly it's the same movie. Plumbers from Brooklyn get sucked through a warp pipe into the Mushroom Kingdom and have to help Peach or Daisy fend off King Koopa, who wants to marry her, I think. I don't remember if he actually tries to marry her in the live-action movie or not. The broad sweeps of the plot are almost identical, but I mean, that's what you do with Mario. Another criticism, I'm not sure what happened at the end of the movie. Was Brooklyn destroyed? Did the brothers just say, well, this place is trashed and go back to the Mushroom Kingdom? Did Brooklyn and the Mushroom Kingdom merge? I'm honestly not sure. And that might be I missed something, or it's at the drive-in and I just visually didn't catch something. Oh, and as someone mentioned, might have been Jared, the Mushroom Kingdom, here we come. Yeah, that's not in the movie, and thank God, because that's the most awkward line delivery I've heard in a while. Not in the movie. Interestingly, the Let's-a Go, where we... when they showed off in the marketing, they showed off a bit of the Donkey Kong Mario fight, and he, girds his loins. Loins need girding, constant girding. Loins need. He goes, "Let's-a go," and that's not in the movie at that point. That's actually an ADR line that comes later. Interesting. Okay, so what didn't work about the film, other than the story is pretty simple and the characters are fairly one-dimensional, and the movie isn't really interested in saying anything interesting about any of its potential themes. And there are actually some potentially interesting themes here. For example, bit of spoilers, I suppose, but both Mario and Donkey Kong are men who want nothing more out of life than to make their fathers proud. Oh, okay. That's interesting. That we can build off of that. This gives our characters something to bond over, and gives them a goal to meet, and they do. By the end of the movie, both Mario and Donkey Kong's daddies say, "Son, good job. I'm proud of you." What is the film's actual thesis statement? That's nice. Agreed. It's not the most interesting theme ever. It sure is nice when your father acknowledges your hard work. It sure is. But, I mean, the movie isn't really interested in saying much. What other themes can we pluck out of the movie? Well, listen to your mommy, or your mommy figure, and eat your vegetables, although mushrooms are fungus, but eat your mushrooms because they're good for you and they will make you grow big and strong. Literally. That's a theme. Does it have anything to say about that? Not really. But it's there. You know, listen to mama and eat healthy because it'll make you big and strong. And yeah, did they do anything with that? No. Not really. You know, the brothers are brothers, and do they learn the value of teamwork? No. They start out the movie being very close and looking out for each other. No. Doesn't make it the wrong approach. It's just, well, there's nothing to do there. It's interesting. There's this whole thing. It's like, we're brothers, and together we are invincible. And that is actually literalized by the end of the movie, which is neat. Except Mario seems to be fairly invincible whether Luigi's around or not. So it doesn't really... I mean, it's not like Mario's really struggling without Luigi by his side. Together, we're invincible. Yeah, apart you seem to be able to take any punch Koopa can throw at you. I mean, you get a swollen eye at one point, but otherwise, yeah, man can take a lick. Mario does seem pretty invincible. So, I don't know if Luigi's really necessary. Although I do like the fact that the "Together We're Invincible" is literalized, as I said at the end of the film. I thought that was cool, but there was nothing that was actually overcome, or it's a slight movie that's aimed at small children. So I think it could have been better with, you know, all the stuff that makes movies cool, but yeah, I still had fun with it. I will say that there were some definite down points, and oh my gosh in heaven, Nintendo, you're bad at needle drops, and you should feel bad. Stop it. No. Stop it. Don't do that again. This movie is chock-a-block with the most painfully pat and obvious needle drops that you'll find in movies. There are some people who are great at needle drops. Quentin Tarantino, James Gunn. They're great at needle drops. James Gunn, you know, with the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, the needle drops are thematically important to the character and the story. In Mario, they're like, well, they're in Brooklyn, so we'll play No Sleep Till Brooklyn. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, we're going to have to do, what's the name of the Holding Out for a Hero? Because that's the song that it's been done. It's overplayed. Stop it. Although they did have one needle drop from... Oh, God, I think it's Carmen. I'd have to listen to it again. That was a good one. One, it's not overused. Two, it worked really well for the scene. I think it's the plumbing scene at the beginning of the movie with the dog. That was great. You get that one. But they also have Take On Me from Aha, and I'm like, why? Although they really drowned out the vocals in the mix. I think they just really like the tune. But you have some of the best, most iconic... 30 years of some of the most iconic music. Period. You don't need to do the stupid, obvious needle drops because they're terrible and they take me out of the movie and I didn't like it. So stop it. The Carmen needle, if it was Carmen, that was a good one. You can keep that one. The rest of them, chuck them. Don't do that again. Are you sure it's Nintendo's idea because this is an Illumination movie? I don't know whoever's idea it was, whether it was Nintendo or Illumination or Susan. Was it you? Whoever it was, that was a bad idea, and you should feel bad. Don't do it. The Carmen one was fine. The orchestral rearrangements of countless classic themes is really, really good. I really liked the score to the film. A lot of really cool stuff in the score. I thought it was quite good. AC/DC worked. Which one was it? There's so many I'm forgetting it. Let's see. Mario Brothers movie soundtrack. Also, we can see if that tune's from Carmen or not. Let's see. D. Oh God, Battle Without Honor, Humanity. Yeah, that one's in there too. Because that one's always another overdone one. Oh, Thunderstruck. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Holding Out for a Hero. That's the Bonnie Tyler tune I was trying to think of. Anyway, but I mean, these are great songs. Don't get me wrong, but they are overused. They are overplayed. It just takes me right out of the movie, and I don't care how anyone else thought about it. I don't like it. There's also this weird thing they do where Mario says "Mamma Mia" 2 or 3 times throughout the movie. But every time he does it in slow motion. Which is weird and doesn't work. Might have worked if there were a contrast, like if he said, "Mamma Mia!" and it was just the thing he'd say, and then just, "Mamma Mia!" to emphasize it at some point. But no, he just says it 2 or 3 times in the movie in slow motion every time, and it's weird. So that was bad. That was bad. Chaos says Jack Black inspired Cash. Yeah, he was great. From what I hear, the go-kart scene with Take On Me actually had its own score, but they replaced it in favor of that? I mean, I love Take On Me. The song, great song. And I don't know. No idea. No idea why that was used there, or why that whatever they were going to use in the first place and replaced it with. Anyway, Mario's like Captain America. I can do this all day. He is kind of that. Jared says, I think New York was dragged into the Odyssey universe. Maybe. I wasn't really clear, because a good block of Brooklyn is kind of messed up by Bowser and gang, and I was like, because they're like, oh, okay, Daddy is proud, and then all right, we got to go to work, and they go right out in the Mushroom Kingdom. I'm like, oh, is Brooklyn trashed? Did you just move? Are you commuting? Did the kingdoms or domains or whatever combine? Is it now New Donk City? I don't know. It doesn't really matter. I was just like, I'm not totally clear what's going on here. Darkest line was the sacrifice at the wedding. Yeah. Bowser's like, he's, what a dipshit, too, because he's like, if you don't marry me, I'll kill your friends. And she's like, okay, well, Jesus, I'll marry you then, God. He's like, yay! And they're at the altar, and he's like, and hey, I put all your friends in cages and hover them over lava, and I'm going to sacrifice them to you as a wedding present. It's like, why do you think that would be a good idea, dumbass? What an idiot. What a delightful idiot. Oh, and I like the fact that Bowser actually kills one of his Koopas. because the Koopa little Koopa Troopa little turtle guy standing there. Sir, isn't this a bad idea? And he goes, blows a fireball at him, and he just turns from a Koopa into a Dry Bones, and he's like, oh well, shit. Also, the sequence where Luigi ends up in the Dark World and is chased by some Dry Bones and oh god, characters with the masks from Super 2. What the hell are those called? Shy Guys. They did a real nice job with the creep factor. Also, I like the score there because they were incorporating elements of Luigi's Mansion and I want to say something from one of the Galaxy games, one of the dark levels from the Galaxy games. I don't remember what it's called, but what's interesting is a lot of times the score in the film is a mix of several different melodies. It's not just, oh, we orchestrated this lick from this game. Oddly enough, you may not find any density in the film's narrative or character arcs or themes, but you will find it in the film score. That shit is dense. So if you're looking for any density in this film, you'll find it in the score because there's a lot there. I don't think Jack Black's would kill it because most voices he does acts just like him saying "Awesome, that's not Bowser," but he didn't act like himself. Surprising. Yeah, he did a character. Seth Rogen, to his credit, did a character too. He just used his own voice. I think if you had no idea who the hell Seth Rogen was, you would think that they, hired some dude in his 20s to play, some frat dude. Some immature, braggadocious frat dude. No, Seth Rogen's a dude. He's my age. Maybe a little older. He's a dude in his 40s. But so he gave a vocal performance. It's just his voice, And I read an interview with him. He's like, yeah, if you can't stand my voice, I don't do voices. This is my voice. I told Nintendo, it's like, I don't... If you think my voice is right for the character, fine. But I don't do voices. And, respect. Anyway, I liked the Mario movie. Narratively, character-wise, and thematically slight, but still a very entertaining and genuinely funny movie. Although I do wish they would have held longer when on Mario making out with the Cheep Cheep. The marketing, they're crossing a bridge and a Cheep Cheep latches onto his face and Peach, pulls it off. In the movie, the fish latches on his face and it just cuts right there, which, I mean, the movie is in a hurry. I think the movie is not just a video game movie, it's a video game speedrun movie. I think is, yes, I'm liking describing it that way, because it don't stop and let characters breathe much. There are a few moments where characters will sit down and talk for a minute, but very few and far between. Favorite sequence or scene, asks Jared. Cafe Fox says, though the song Peaches was very Jack Black. Yeah. I like the... Not a great song, but it definitely feels like a song that Bowser wrote himself. I would love it in a sequel if Peach is wandering around the... Peach just constantly finds herself humming the Peaches song. She's like, Peaches, Peaches, Peaches... God damn it! Can't get that stupid song out of my head! That would make me laugh. Favorite sequence or scene? The plumbing disaster in the front of the movie with that dog. That especially just the way that dog looked at Luigi. the facial expression of that dog is like, I'm going to get you. I'm going to cause you pain like you can't even imagine. And I'm going to do it one nerve ending at a time. This dog is out for Luigi's blood. So that opening plumbing disaster with the dog, that's probably my favorite sequence in the movie. Habanera from Carmen. Okay, I was right. Yes, that needle drop is correct. Is fine. The rest of them I could do without. Speedrun is exactly how the writer and director described it. Oh well, okay. All right, 820. It's a fun movie. I really quite enjoyed it. Could it be better? Yes, it easily could have. And I agree that stronger story, more interesting characters, more meatier themes to chew on. I would have made a better movie. But that's not what we got. What we got was, in my opinion, a fun, colorful, entertaining, and genuinely funny film. And I would happily watch more Mario movies or, any any other franchise they decide they... Except maybe Fire Emblem, I'd kind of roll my eyes. Like, if they make a Fire Emblem movie, I'll go see it because I'm a Nintendo fanboy, but you'd have to work really hard to get me excited for a Fire Emblem movie. I'm just not into that franchise. But yeah, make a Zelda movie, make a Metroid movie, make a Pikmin movie. I saw the shorts that they made like 15 years ago, and those were fun. So yeah, I was happy with this film. I thought it was a lot of fun. Room for improvement, but I'm sure they will make more. So that's it for Can't Believe Illumination put the theme song of the Super Mario Brothers Super Show in the movie. Yeah, that is in there. That's pretty great. There is, if you are in your 30s or 40s and you grew up with the Mario franchise and are a big fan of the games, there is, even if you're not really into the story, into the narrative of the characters or anything like that, there's a lot of eye candy. There's like, oh look, the character is running exactly how they do in the game. That's fun. Except that's not how the Tanuki suit works at all. I think the super cape would have been a lot better for that sequence. I don't. That's not how the Tanuki suit works. Oh well. And he didn't turn into a statue. That makes me sad. Oh well, I mean, I was hoping for 674 references to the game. I only got 673. Darn. Next year's Sonic 3... I haven't seen any of the Sonic movies. It's like, I don't care. It's just not... They look bad. And I don't want to watch them. Maybe I'll see them someday. A lot of people really like the Sonic movies, but I mean, I don't know. I need to eat dinner and then play more video games so I can get up tomorrow and play more video games, this time on stream. So we are definitely, almost certainly, going back to Trails from Zero tomorrow, so hope you'll join me, noon Pacific Standard Time. Fun will be had by all except those who are bored. I think that's how it works. Okay. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.